greatest. Every morning when we woke up, she would flog me with a bicycle chain, and that's how I knew that it was true love.
Bro, we're live.
Oh.
Hi, this is Nino. Welcome to the Boise Hive podcast. I'm excited to be here today. I'm joined in the studio, as always, with my graphic designer, engineer, co-executive producer, Alex Gamble. Go ahead and say hi, Alex.
What's up?
All right, and we also are in the studio today with Greg Bowman, our programs director. Go ahead and say hi, Greg.
Howdy.
All right, and like always, today we're going to talk about, start by talking about the Boise Hive. In case you didn't know, the mission is to prevent suicide and increase mental health within the music community. Number of different things that go on here throughout the week. And the mission of the podcast is to amplify all the good things that we do here at the Hive. So we'll start off with the schedule. On Tuesdays, we have Life Recovery, 12 to 1:30. Wednesdays, we have Sober Curious, 6 to 7:30. The last Wednesday of every month, we have open mic 6 to 8. The last Thursday of every month, we have hip hop 6 to 10. And on Fridays, Vets Jam It Out 6 to 9. You do not have to be a vet to attend, or you don't have to be within the scope of any of these. If you want to come down here and just jam and hang out and find out what we do here and more about this place, please, throughout the week, don't hesitate to come on down. A number of other programs that we have going on here. We have our Live at the Hive, which is on Saturdays. It's a great opportunity for you to come down here and see some of the good stuff we do here. Also, it's the best showcase for your band. You get a live video. It gets streamed for anyone that can't be here. I've been telling everyone this: if you're a band and you are playing in Boise, then you need to contact the Boise Hive and get on the live schedule, because the live at the Hives are amazing. And open nights too. We're trying to get new acts out there. The last Wednesday of every month, again, we have our open mic 6 to 8. You can be a singer, you can play a banjo, you can do poetry, spoken word. Go ahead, Alex.
I insist that you don't even need to be a musician to show up. I really want somebody to show up and just do some kind of, avant-garde performance art. That's all I want. That's what it's all been leading towards.
Seriously, like, you can do any. That's the cool thing about it, is like it's not any one type of genre or any one type of act. If you'd like an opportunity to come do what you do on stage, again, it's the last Wednesday of every month, 6 to 8. So we will jump right into our first band feature of the day. Today we have Cabeza. This song is called Home. They can be reached at Instagram.com/Cabeza Boise, and that's CABEZABOISE. And again, this song's called Home.
I see you looking, I feel you judging me. What are you thinking? I'm where I need to be, high on my mountain, safe in a place called home. The hat you're wearing, it disagrees with me, so we stop talking. Eventually we turned our backs and went our separate ways.
All right, once again, that feature was from a band called Cabeza. They're local here. You can find all their information on Instagram.com/Cabeza Boise. And again, that's CABEZABOISE. All right, so now we're going to get into it. We have Greg Bowman, our programs director, here in the studio today. He's going to talk a little bit about himself and what he does here at the Hive. We're also going to get into the history of the Hive community, which is pretty awesome. But Greg, we'll start off with what do you do here at the Boise Hive?
Well, I'm a programs director, so basically all of those programs that you identified, we kind of bring them in and try to keep them going, get them started and keep them going, and do the things that the Hive, as part of their mission with mental health and music and being a musician's resource, to try to make things better for musicians in the area.
Yeah, absolutely. And we definitely appreciate all the hard work that you guys have been doing here and trying to keep this place as busy as possible. Now, what did you do in your regular life? Someone told me that you were a rocket scientist. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, kind of. I am an electrical engineer by training. That kind of goes with music. For me, it did. And so I worked on all kinds of cool stuff. Airplanes and helicopters and rockets, finally. So, yeah.
So you can technically actually be called a rocket scientist,
Yeah.
and that's been publicized. You were telling me, like it was
It
written
could
about
be.
you.
It could be, yeah.
And you're from Boise, correct?
I am, yeah. Yeah, I lived here since 65 or 66.
And when did you start playing music?
Probably in grade school. I played piano. The standard get lessons, and then kind of went from there. And have been a musician all my life, I guess.
Yeah, perfect. So, getting into some of the Hive community, I've had a couple conversations with you about, why this community is here and it is what it is. So, could you elaborate a little bit on the history of the community that the Hive is located in?
Yeah, so it was a big farm field, no houses or anything, up until about 1940, and they started to construct a place called Sargent City, and so it just surrounded by fields at that point. But it was a Gowan Field, had a lot of Navy personnel, and they needed a place for their non-commissioned officers to live. And so they built most of the buildings that you see around the neighborhood right now are the original buildings. And you'll see that they look different than the rest of the community or the rest of the bench here. So, yeah, it kind of says something about how well they were built, that they've lasted so long. And
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, when you look around here, they have like little duplexes. They have like the multi-complexes. I forget the guy's name, but somebody told me that the church over here was like a mess hall, like where they would like be fed and stuff like that. And if you look after hearing all this stuff around the community, I mean, it makes sense. It's totally that older style military housing, get it up quick, and, even some of the little duplexes were probably where some of the higher ranking officers lived because they had a little bit more privacy, a couple rooms, and then they have like this, like the little 1 and 2 bedroom places. But you can totally see that around here. Now, what did the Hive building used to be before it turned into the Hive?
so on the site, there used to be a house, basically like the house next door and the houses across the street. And I'm not really sure what happened, but at some point, another building was built. That's the building that's here, cedar block kind of construction. And the first I could find it being used is by a company called Quick Cafe, and they were like a vending machine company. And they supported the Treasure Valley. And so I think that they used it more as a storage place for their stuff. There is possibility that it actually was a cafe at one point, but I think maybe it's just the name Quick Cafe that made it seem like there was a cafe here. And I think that was until mid 70s that it was that.
And then in the 70s, it turned into a recording studio. Is that correct?
Yeah, so a gentleman named Don Cedarstrom got the place, and he was one of the original engineers at KIDO, which is the original radio station in Boise, and so he started a recording studio. Where we're sitting right now is in the studio that he built. So inside the building, there was one room that was set aside as the recording studio, very very standard recording studio.
Awesome, amazing. I mean, I love all this stuff. Now, and then it, someone had, or I believe it was you that told me that for a while it was shut down and it was a storage facility until it became the Hive.
Well, so Don owned the place and had a partner, Don Franklin, that worked with him, and they recorded in here for decades, and then the business kind of changed a bit and turned more into like mass duplication for CDs and tapes and things like that. They were always into all of the technology, the recording technology, so it was just natural that as the business went on and CDs became bigger, that all of a sudden this was the place for duplicating CDs, which we still get calls from people saying, "Can you duplicate our CDs?" Which is
That's crazy. And when did it become the Hive?
It became the Hive in 2013. That was when the Hive was formed, and actually there were 7 musicians in town that got together with the mission of preventing suicide and providing musicians with resources. So they pulled together enough. At first, it was just the gumption to come into the facility. By then, I think both of the main guys who had run it for so many years had died, and so it was at that point kind of sitting vacant. Not vacant. It had a lot of equipment in it, and so I know Jason Ringelstetter came in, helped kind of figure out what kind of equipment they had in here, and then started to use it as a rehearsal space, and actually built a sound wall before they even rented the place. So it was kind of like it had been destined to be a music place forever, and that was the transition from studio to next set of studios as the Hive.
Sure.
So
Now,
Jason still owned a tonic room at the time that he bought this, right?
Yes. Yeah.
that's how I found out about the Hive.
Yeah. He already had a recording studio, and so this was always intended to be a nonprofit.
Yeah, and I think Daniel Bueller told me that this place was actually modeled after a Hive in Athens, Georgia. Do you know anything about that?
So there's a place called Nusi Space that was started in Athens, Georgia, and one of the founders here, Gabe Rudeau, he came from Athens, and so that facility was started because of Nusi, who unfortunately committed suicide in, I think, 1999.
Oh no!
He was a musician and fought depression for so long, and what they decided was that if they had a facility where people could deal with both mental health and the music at the same time, that would make a difference, and that really had a reason to be. So they started it. They have since gone more onto the counseling side, so they have more mental health there than they do like rental rehearsal studios and that kind of thing. But they've morphed in that direction, and this isn't really, the Boise Hive is not really connected to that,
Sure.
but it definitely
Was modeled
came
after
from it.
the
Yes.
spirit of that place.
Yep.
Well, this has been wonderful. Again, we're talking in the studio today with Greg Bowman. He is our programs director. If you guys are ever around the Hive and you see Greg, find Greg, seek him out. Always a colorful conversation. He's always got some type of rad thing to talk about or to tell you about, or even just good insight. I want to thank you, Greg, for being on the show today. Sure. This has been absolutely wonderful. As always, if you'd like to give us, or if you'd like to contact us or donate, you can reach us at boisehive.org. You could also search us on YouTube. Our telephone number is 208-344-4994. And if you are experiencing any type of suicidal thoughts or experiencing a crisis, you can always call 988, and you can call or text 988. So again, this is Nino. I'm in the studio with Greg and Alex, and I'm signing off of the Boise Hive podcast. Let's go!
All right, and playing us out today, we got the freshest tracks from a local band called Rat Champion. The song's called Flux. You can find them on, you can find them on Instagram at Rat Champion or Linktree RC-Flux.